The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Aldous International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hello, my name is Mark Kelly, Chief Customer Officer at Aldous International, and you are listening to the Aldous podcast, and we are running a ServiceNow series. And in this episode today, I'm happy to welcome Vicki Harris, Director of Business Development at Thirdera. Vicki, great to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. It's always a pleasure to get to talk with other people in the industry.
Tell me a little bit about your journey to now before we dive into the work that you do at Thirdera.
Well, it's an interesting journey and over multiple decades. I've started in the IT business, and the consistency throughout my career has been around defining solutions for business problems. So over the last many years in IT, through the telecommunications market and now into the software platform piece, my magic, if you will, for my clients has been to pull together all the disparate systems that they're working with into a common solution to either save money, increase efficiency, but most of all, to adapt to their business requirements.
Tell me a little bit about Thirdera and some of the work that you work on.
Well, specifically, I'm responsible for our telecommunications and media and technology industry pursuits. So with that, you see consistently from an industry view, all of what you just described, the disparate systems. Thirdera is a leading pure play or ServiceNow only partner within the ServiceNow ecosystem. What that means is that we focus exclusively on ServiceNow. So our practice, as you talk about disparate systems and workflows across business and industry, what we do is we look at how to leverage the technology that ServiceNow has to play to bring all of that data into a common area. We can all talk about platforms all we want, but the magic and the sauce is how do we get access to the data to either report or take action against. And that's what we Thirdera do across the world at this point. Starting last year with 3 companies pulling together for Thirdera, we're bringing what we're calling the third era of IT experience, which is taking not just platforms, not just workflows, but bringing it across all of those silos of information to common data points that can be used in your business without having to do a complete forklift of what you've invested in through the years.
And people want to go to work each day and to be able to succeed, and having access to the right information to allow them to make that next best action. And it's very empowering. And the flip side of that is just low morale, making poor decisions off the wrong data. And there's nothing more ineffective than making decisions if the data isn't there or is incorrect. And today I'm hoping that you're going to be able to share some of the fantastic work that you guys have been doing in telecoms and a little bit more about how that industry has really evolved and how ServiceNow platform has been able to add substantial value.
And the ServiceNow platform is the key ingredient to all of that conversation. It's interesting from an industry view that all of these software as a service platforms tout their individual strengths, and ServiceNow, taking the position of platform of platforms, is showing how we can plug in various components of software through ServiceNow to get access to all of that data. And it could not be any more important than it is to the telecommunications industry. Invariably from telco, they're known for having siloed information, as we described before, but having siloed information from the work that's being generated is one part of it. Dave, we, from a telecommunications view, have never been able to pull all of that data together where you can see consistency from a revenue generation view through to billing, from CPQ or the customer quoting mechanism. How do you make sure that you get that to flow through to recognized revenue? And that ends up being, it sounds like it should be an easy problem to resolve, but you do have, specifically in the communications markets, legacy systems that have been out there for 30 or 40 years that have just been perpetuated instead of making a mark in the sand to say, okay, we're going to start doing this. The communications companies have really been mired in legacy systems. So what we, Thirdera, in conjunction with ServiceNow, are doing is taking a look at how can we start pulling in that data from systems anywhere from CPQ systems like Netcracker, from Remedy, and what the BMC products have provided very effectively into the telecommunications market. How can we make that more flexible so you can start reporting and seeing what the data reflects? And we have two great use cases that we're working with now. And one being Engina, which is an SD-WAN as a service capability. They started their business with their own CPQ or quoting system with an interesting model because they work exclusively with resellers. So it isn't a direct to consumer business, and they needed to develop a platform that could take their quoting system, go out, identify hardware, software to be provisioned, and give their resellers complete flexibility through the order process for where the individual circuitry would be, what the bandwidth, what the equipment would look like, and provision it from that level. And the level of reporting and the speed to market and being able to turn around revenue recognition is making a huge difference in this disruptor's marketplace. And they really are disrupting the market and going into telecommunications life of software as a service, SD-WAN as a service, and really changing the pace of how the market can get out there for clients. Much in the same way, we're working with another technology company, Lyra Investment Technologies, that had a 100% manual spreadsheet-driven environment where they have very few people that are working there, but they're providing all of the desktop as a service capabilities or all hardware provisioning for major GSI people that are out there. So they're pulling together all of the IT major desktop manufacturers into their systems to provide hardware for managed services companies today. So they aren't doing the same thing from a circuit-driven environment, but the order management capabilities that ServiceNow is bringing to the table are allowing people to take those manual processes, take it through complete automation to revenue recognition, assurance from being able to use the technology that's there, and make sure that the orders that these major providers are sending out are accurate. And we're finding that this little bitty company that does a lot of business is able to catch some of the major players with duplicate orders, things that are going to a wrong place because of the order management platform that they've established through the ServiceNow platform of platforms. That was a very fast walk. That was a very fast walk through.
I love those use cases, and working in, I think we're now upstart, we've got like 50 plus people or so, but we've gone on a journey. I always love the stories of where the smaller companies, they change the pace, they determine what's actually happening in the market, which is so exciting because they're leveraging technology to just add so much more value rather than having to do everything manually. And as much as I have a smile on my face to 100% manual spreadsheet, for so many people out there who are listening, they know this journey of Excel, and those people will prefer to do anything rather than actually give up that comfort blanket of Excel. So to go on this automation journey and to properly scale, is something you need to be conscious of. And tell us a little bit about the change management piece that's important, because yes, we know the platform it's got so many fans, but how important is that mountain guide to take everyone through the journey of what's next?
I think it's very important. We've talked about the use cases from the practical usage, where ServiceNow is going. And honestly, with both of these use cases, it ends up being significant, is being able to build the TMT, Telecommunications Media and Technology platform, on TM Forum-based protocols. TM Forum is allowing various communications providers to come together and establish those standards, so anyone that's utilizing TM Forum-based solutions can tie into other TM Forum-based solutions. In the ServiceNow environment, because we've built the platform based on TM Forum approaches for a lit technologies, a Lyra investment, being able to tie into other GSIs that also use ServiceNow and know that the records that they have in their service environment can bridge over into their partner Lit's environment completely, will allow people from the GSI view to enter orders on their system, and those are transferred over to Lyra without having to duplicate effort. And that starts to get really magical when you reach out to all of these major suppliers. And I can mention Lenovo and HP and Dell and all of the major integrators that are out there in IT suppliers, that they have access from their investment of systems to now tie into their partners. It really starts bringing together the solution base. And you hit the nail on the head, Mark. From a change system, what we are seeing is that the conversations change from what do we need to get accomplished, instead of we have this technology, let's go make it work. And we're able to take the first question of what do we need to get accomplished in figuring out the technology on this other side. And ServiceNow is making it very easy.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than working on a problem that you could solve very effectively, but it doesn't move the dial. And people are thinking, okay, what that's super, but what does that impact us, or how does that impact us? But if you reduce manual effort or duplicate effort and use the word magical, that's a fantastic place to be, because everybody wants to feel like they're being efficient and their processes are running well. And that's where you can do higher value activity and people can work on better areas. When we look at the telco industry and some of the services that they're now able to offer some of their internal users and external users, where do you see it going and how's it going to play out?
Well, there are a lot of movements going on in this marketplace right now, primarily because communications companies are willing to shift their focus from legacy systems and really appreciating the business requirement and urgency to bring all of their data into a common place. What we see as a major trend right now is that bridge between IT and the telecommunications leadership to really start looking at the industry overall, not from an IT view, but helping IT to see more of what the telecommunications requirements are. Invariably, that has been a big gap. So with that being a gap at an organization level within the communications marketplace, you can take that one step farther into how do we make this easier for users to adopt technologies. And we say organization change management and the user interface and experience to be a highly critical component of where communications companies are going to be, not just for their internal use, but for their customers. We're getting a lot of requests to have reporting and dashboards for communications customers. So if you are a managed service provider within a major communications services provider, can we provide a dashboard for me as the client for a communications company to go in and see the status of all of the circuits that I have out there, what the managed services are, what are my SLAs, where can I start looking at predictive analytics to anticipate an outage if possible, based on metrics across all of the network components that I have. So there are a lot of things that are out there that we've built the platform for the way things can be done. And now we're tacking in all of these various components that are needed for the marketplace that don't require major overhauls for communications companies. And it bridges the communications between the communications leadership and IT leadership.
What's really exciting as well is that ServiceNow have been purchasing a lot of AI companies. So it'll be really exciting to see what that's going to do to add that new AI functionality to where the world is going to. And you'll probably see that in the chatbot function in terms of different types of interactions. And as people's expectations change, it's really nice to be able to leverage this data to be making better decisions, because the machine learning element is going to add so much new innovation within that.
Well, and the whole machine learning aspect is something that isn't highly leveraged right now. But as we get more data where we can get the machines to learn, it's going to be significant. And I guess that's, for me, in a business development view, we're really at a major crossroads right now in the marketplace to bring that level of adoption back into the communications markets, where we can use existing data that's out there to get machine learning more progressed.
You've been listening to the Aldous podcast, and we've been speaking to Vicki Harris, Director of Business Development at Thirdera, and a part of our ServiceNow series. Vicki has been giving us a fantastic walkthrough about her role at Thirdera, some of the value that her and her team have been adding within the telecoms industry, and some of the innovations and return on investments that you can actually have by leveraging the ServiceNow platform. We talked a little bit more about change management and how to effectively manage change within an organization, and some of the return on investments that can actually come. And then finally, we talked a little bit about some of the possibilities and future innovations within the telecoms sector. Vicki, thank you so much for your time today.
It's an honor to get a chance to talk with you, Mark. Thank you so much. I look forward to watching what we're doing going down the road.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Aldous podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.